What's going on, guys? Matt over here with Lethal Camaro, and today I want to talk about spacers. Spacers for your wheels. Now, there's a lot of information floating around from a lot of people out there that is really confusing, might scare people off. There's all sorts of stuff. Now, what is a spacer? A spacer is typically something you put in front of your hub or, extending your hub out for your wheels so that your wheels can either stick out further, you can fit a bigger tire or rim, or etc. There's lots of reasons for spacers in general, and there's different kinds. There's just flat spacers that sit over your stock lugs in your hub. There's also the extended kind that basically bolt onto your stock lugs and then create another plate that has new lugs on it that your tires then mount into. Those ones are the scary ones. But as far as spacers on your car and can you do it, there's a few things that you should keep in mind. Now, when putting a spacer on your vehicle, you lose a lot of things, or you lose the ability to do a lot of things. One, if you put too big of a spacer, you probably shouldn't track your car. Two, if you put too big of a spacer or the bump out spacers, you basically just want a daily driver show off your car. Again, drag racing, stuff like that, it's not wise. Especially in a car that has a lot of power. You can torque the bolts, you can snap things, you can break things. It's just not a good way to go. Now, if you go with a thin spacer, now there's plenty of applications such as, hey, I just want to bump out my wheels to align with my inner fender a little bit better so it looks cleaner. And maybe you only need a 2mm or a 3mm or a 5mm spacer. That is perfectly fine. You could do that. You could still track your car. You could still go to the racetrack, the drag strip, however you want to call it. But the big thing is you want to make sure your car or wheel is doing a couple things. One, if your spacer is so wide that your rim no longer sits on the hub, that's a problem. That is then now putting all of the torque and all of the weight on the bolts and not the actual hub of the vehicle. And that's when you're running into problems. Two, lug nuts. Now, if you put a spacer on your vehicle and you put your wheel back on and it has less than 8 full turns on that lug, you don't want to keep that, or you don't want to drive that car on a track. 7-8 turns is not bad, but when you're putting high pressure, high torsion, high anything on those lugs and wheels and everything, you want to make sure, darn sure, one, your bolts are torqued on properly, but two, that they are not sitting beyond the halfway point of that lug nut. The big reason for that is all that pressure and torsion can snap those bolts in half. And think of it just like how can I explain it? Like, if you take a stick and you put a ton of pressure just on the end, it snaps off, right? But if you put more pressure further on that stick, it's not going to have a tendency to break. Same thing with your lug nuts. So if your lug nut is sitting further out than the halfway point, that is a huge problem. You do not want to do that. So make sure you have a good 10, 11, 12 full turns on your lug nut, and that way you will have a good connection and not have to worry nearly as much or even worry at all about that spacer being there. So that's just my quick video. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys use spacers? Have you used them? And what applications have you used them? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I'm sure there's a lot of people on both sides of the camp. But again, if your wheel is on the hub and you have way more than halfway of thread on those lug nuts, you are on those lug bolts, I should say. Sorry, I keep calling them nuts. I don't know why. You should be perfectly fine. Anything more than that or anything out of that realm, that's a problem. That's when you need to worry. So either or, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks for checking out the video. If you guys appreciated it or are interested in more talk car stuff or Camaro stuff, hit that subscribe button, support the channel. Also check out the Lethal merchandise down below. If not, likes, comments, shares are always appreciated. And until next time, I'll see you on the road.